So this is my first attempt at an automatic chicken coop door actuator, and I've borrowed a lot of the ideas that I've seen on YouTube from other folks that have charted the territory before me, just kind of giving you an overall view of what I've done. And we come over here, and that is a weather resistant, not an outdoor use. It's a solar panel actuator, 14-inch stroke. It's extended right now, and that's what will actuate the chicken door. And these are just some very inexpensive timers that you can buy on Amazon. You can see the brand that's there. And I'm using 3. I had 4, but my dog chewed one of them up. Now I'm doing something a little different than most people have done. I'm using a 3156 high-low relay from Quasar Electronics. What this allows me to do is just to use one timer for the on and off stroke. And here in about 1 minute, we'll focus on this timer right here. At 16:01, that's going to come on, and that's going to make the actuator close. So we're just waiting for that timer to change. And then at 16:03 or 4 or 5, whatever I did, it'll go off, and that'll make the timer open. So you can see that my LED chicken coop light has come on, so that will stay on for a couple minutes here while we wait for this timer to roll to 16:01. And we're on a little NASA countdown here. There we go. So you can see and you can hear that the actuator is closing. And so what's going to happen is hopefully I've put enough time in here that before it reaches 16:03, I think is what I've set it for, that the actuator will go the other way. And in essence, what this board is doing is reversing the polarity when power's off. So what I can do is just using one of these timers. Most people are using 2 of these timers online. Using one timer, I can basically hold that motor open in the open position, because the actuator has built-in limit switches. So I can set it 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever. I just have one program. I'm not using a power on timer and a power off timer. And so we're going to wait. I think at 16:03 is when it should go back the other way. Now you notice that both lights are on the relay board. This board comes from a company called Quasar Electronics in the UK, and I just happen to have a friend of mine that uses these boards here in town. But you can buy them online, and there's a gentleman out of North Carolina that sells them as well. It's not something that you readily find available on Amazon.com. So we should start to see here, it's coming 16:03, there we go. So now we notice that both lights are off, and the actuator now is actually extending itself. So that would be closing the chicken door. And so this is basically just kind of a breadboard of what I've done. But a couple of other things I wanted to show you. Of course, I've got this 12 volt light. I'll put 2 of those in the coop. this little solar controller. There's a 25-watt solar controller, solar panel on top of the chicken coop that I'll have to plug in. This thing has a little output. That output's going to go to this little 12-volt fan to blow a little air during the day. So basically, as long as the solar panel's on, it'll be charging the battery, and also this fan will be blowing on the inside of the chicken coop, because sometimes the coop's open and not. Basically, I've used two, these are aerospace grade terminal boards. One's for the battery and one's for the ground. But everything pretty much else, the wiring here is, again, there's a lot of jumpering that's taking place. I'm going to zoom out. Maybe that might help anybody who wants to try to replicate this. They can see what I've done. But basically, the hot output out of the timer is jumped to 2. And then it's going to the high 1 and the high 2 on the board. The red above the 2 yellow wires is power to the board. The black is the ground to the board, and then coming out of this side, the yellow and the green are going to the motor. The reds are power that come off the switch, and the blacks or grounds basically just coming off the battery. Pretty simple setup. Again, the benefit is it just uses one timer. And we should see any minute here our little light maybe should shut off. I'd have to see what the programming says, but anyways, that's my concept of my super duper chicken door actuator.